The GOP and Fox News are lying about the state of the economy under Joe Biden and attempting to purge from their ranks anyone who dared vote for a bipartisan infrastructure bill. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. There is a fundamental asymmetry between the left and the right, which is that one side is, for all its many flaws, at least interested in attempting to govern competently. The other side, meanwhile, has been captured by a cult-like movement filled with authoritarian weirdos and cartoon gangsters who always look like they've either been chugging white wine spritzers after everyone turns on them at a Real Housewives reunion, or they just got hit in the balls with a swinging pant can by Kevin McAllister. Although, in fairness, Rudy usually looks more like he's just realized he's been left home alone by his parents. Oh no, how am I going to take care of myself? I'm only 800 years old. For example, there's been a global climate summit in Glasgow where world leaders have been gathering to tackle the existential threat posed by climate change. And one of the major speakers was former President Obama. And before he got to the serious stuff, he once again started out with some of his trademark stand-up comedy material.
I am a private citizen now. So trips like this feel a little bit different than they used to. I don't get invited to the big group photo. Traffic is a thing again. Music doesn't play when I walk into the room. On the positive side, I can give a speech like this without wearing a tie and not create a scandal back home.
Now, that's what you think, but Fox News is going to go wall-to-wall with coverage of your open collar and a headline like "No Button Obama" or "Woke Mob Cancels Neckwear." But more importantly, man, this guy always has new comedy material. Now he's doing bits about what it's like being out of office. I don't know how relatable it is, though. You know that thing where one day you're the most powerful man in the world and the next day your wife is counting your almonds? No! But after he was done testing out new stand-up material, Obama talked about the responsibility of rich nations and rich people to take the lead in solving the climate crisis so that the burden of switching to renewable energy doesn't fall disproportionately on the poor and working class.
A country like the U.S. with a higher per capita carbon footprint does have to do more than a country like Mali or Bangladesh. It's also why we need to make sure the people most affected by the transition to clean energy aren't the ones bearing most of the cost. They don't have any margin for error. I can afford to give up a lot of my current lifestyle to benefit the planet because I'll still have a lot left over. A lot of folks don't have that cushion.
He's right on both counts. Most people don't have that cushion, but Obama does. I mean, look at him. Remember how he aged like 20 years in office? Well, somehow he's aged backwards like 20 years after he left office. It's like when a friend who was in a miserable marriage posts pics of herself on a beach in Cozumel after her divorce. Damn, Janice! You look good. Obama looks like a hotshot investor on Succession who's threatening to take control of the company. Next week's episode, he has to convince cousin Greg to come over to his side. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Logan told me not to consort with any ex-presidents or other high-ranking luminaries, or I could end up, in his words, pretty well. Now, again, that's not to say Democrats are doing enough to tackle climate change or that Obama couldn't have done more when he was president. He could have done more then, and Democrats could be doing more now. They still need to get their massive social spending bill across the finish line to invest in clean energy, among many other things. But in addition to dealing with obstructionists in their own caucus who seem hell-bent on protecting fossil fuels, they're also up against a GOP and right-wing media apparatus filled with shameless liars who have no interest in doing anything at all about the effects of climate change. For example, here's the Lieutenant Governor of Texas explaining in the dumbest way possible why he thinks wind and solar power don't work.
You cannot run America on green energy. We have to have thermal gas, we have to have coal, and we have to have nuclear. We saw it in our freeze last year in Texas. We needed more thermal gas, not more Green New Deal. We were an example last year, quite frankly, in the freeze, that when we needed to rely on renewables, they weren't there. What happens if you go all green and destroy the oil and gas industry and the coal industry in Wyoming and West Virginia? You can't rely on the wind to always blow or the sun to be out.
Well, that's not how it works, you dingus. Did these people learn about renewable energy from a Hallmark card? You can't rely on the wind to always blow or the sun to always be out, but you can always rely on a friend. These people genuinely not realize that renewable energy, just like any other form of energy, can be stored? Have they never heard of batteries? When your TV remote dies, do you just jam a lump of coal in there? Do they also think you can't get electricity unless you catch it with a key attached to a kite? Honey, storm's coming. I think we'll have enough lightning to watch an episode of House Hunters. Also, none of what he said about the Texas blackouts is true. The vast majority of the power failure during the winter blackout came from fossil fuels. Of the power shortfall that hit Texas, over 80% was due to problems at coal and gas-fired plants, while only 7% of Texas's forecasted winter capacity was expected to come from various wind power sources across the state. Then, of course, it wasn't the Green New Deal's fault. Obviously, most of the failures came from coal and gas. It's Texas. The TV show Dallas was about a family who was rich from oil, not wind. When we finally found out who shot JR, it was his sister-in-law, Kristen, not a windmill with a gun. Moving on. I'm sorry, Wally, is there a problem?
Could have used a spoiler alert before you ruined Dallas?
You are still gonna watch Dallas, a show from 40 years ago?
I am watching Dallas. I just finished season 3, and you just ruined season 4.
Oh my God, next you're gonna tell me you don't know Henry Blake's plane was shot down on MASH.
It was?
I'm so sorry about this bit, everybody, but the network suggested that since Taylor Swift was on the show, we should reference the kind of television shows that her fans watch, like Dallas and MASH. You understand. They had heard the audience would be full of Loretta Switties. Anyway, the point is, these people are willingly... Anyway, the point is, guys, the point. Can we please leave that in the past? The point is, these people are willing to lie so brazenly and shamelessly about anything, and that includes the current economic situation. There's no doubt that there are serious issues between inflation and the supply chain crisis. But last night, Fox host Laura Ingraham tried to compare the economic records of Trump and Biden in the most deceptive way possible. See if you can catch what's misleading about this graphic.
During Trump's presidency and before the pandemic, 164,579,000 Americans were working. But under Biden, a staggering 3,121,000 fewer Americans are in the workforce.
I can't remember. Did anything major happen between those two numbers? I'm sorry if I'm a little foggy. I was trapped in an attic for a few months, wiping down doorknobs with Lysol and hoarding the last scraps of toilet paper I could buy off the black market while slowly descending into a madness so fully encompassing that for long stretches of time, I could only hear my own thoughts in the voice of MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell. Oh, darn it, I forgot to buy milk at the grocery store. I better go back before my wife realizes all I bought was a six-pack of beers. Now, not only are Republicans and Fox News lying about the economy, they're also so fundamentally opposed to addressing those issues or even having a functioning government that they're now threatening to purge any Republicans from their ranks who voted for Biden's infrastructure bill. Marjorie Taylor Greene called them traitors, and former Trump Chief of Staff Mark Meadows said they should be stripped of their committee assignments. Trump himself blasted those Republicans in a speech that he later released himself in highlight reel form.
I say it with a heavy heart, no thank you goes to those in the House and Senate who voted for the Democrats' non-infrastructure bill, also known as the Democrat presidential re-election bill. It's only 11% was infrastructure, by the way, 11% of that bill. Much of it's Green New Deal crap, just like throwing money out the window. But you gave Biden a victory as his poll numbers were falling off a cliff.
Sorry, but you did have 4 years to pass an infrastructure bill, and you wasted it whining about CNN's ratings and drawing graffiti on weather maps. That's a joke from our new segment. Remember that? Remember that? When the president defaced a weather map with a Sharpie because he lied about a hurricane? The only way it could have been more obvious is if he tagged it with his initials. This has been Remember That. But that's where we're at now. Keeping roads and bridges from falling apart is considered giving Democrats a win instead of doing something good for the country. If Republicans had their way, the Verrazano Bridge would just be an off-ramp into the water, and New Yorkers would have to get to Brooklyn from Staten Island via kayak. Oh, what's with this freaking thing? If it were any smaller, I'd have to leave my balls in the glove compartment. Oh. Also, Biden's numbers were falling off a cliff. Biden's numbers are in the toilet for sure. But the only recent president with worse numbers was you. This is like if you walked into the Jets locker room and you heard them making fun of the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's right, everybody. We are still doing Jets jokes after they failed to win back-to-back games. And thank God, it's the last easy New York punchline we have. Now that the Knicks got good, LaGuardia's been renovated, and de Blasio's leaving office. Even the cigarette-smoking cockroach is using a nicotine patch now. It's not the same, but it takes the edge off. The major divide in our politics right now is that one movement, for its many flaws, is actively interested in doing things, while the other is trying to purge anyone who participates in making our government function. And they lie shamelessly about everything. Whenever they open their mouths, you can expect
the wind to always blow.
This has been A Closer Look. God's Love We Deliver cooks and brings over 2 million meals a year to men, women, and children living with HIV, AIDS, cancer, and other serious illnesses, and they need your help now more than ever. If you're watching this online, you can hit the donate button. Stay safe, get vaccinated. We love you.